Hey guys, it's Matt. This video is not about headlines, although we will look at the headlines for 4 or 5 minutes just to get some laughs. I was checking on Duluth and Dubuque. I have the greatest example that you're going to be let down and disappointed with at first, unless you see my point and I can bring it together at the end. The greatest example of even if it's real, it's fake. Now, when I present the example, go, this is the example? Get this weak crap out of here. But I'm telling you, hear me out on this. Everybody's doing what the Not Milk wants, and nobody is getting secret orders or secret instructions from secret societies. This is how the reality works. Even if it's real, and all the parties are acting as if it's real. If you put them on a lie detector test, they would say, of course I'm doing this or that. I'm not getting any secret orders, but they're doing exactly what the Not Milk wants. They're on the frequency. They're giving the Not Milk the news headlines it needs. This, and I don't want to give too much away, and I'm going to be careful here because you'll say, I'm not sticking around for that topic, you son of a beach. Hear me out on this. It's the greatest example of all time of even if it's real, it's fake. You'll be let down, but stick with me. Years ago, to scan the headlines, I used to go over to the Washington Post, but they became really serious. Oh gosh, I can't use that. Really major e-beggars. You click on one story and they go, $2. Give us our money. You can't read our articles. $1. They want one. Did you see that? $1 a month. How many? They've got 7 or 8 people signed up. Nobody signs up for this crap. They just make it seem like people signs up for it. No way. But the funny while we're spending time here, the Washington Post, the tagline has been there for many years. Democracy dies in the darkness. I thought it was used to be. I'm not saying it's a Mandela effect. Democracy dies in the dark is I think what it initially was. It doesn't matter. Democracy dies in the darkness. Whoever is the editor of this paper and the ownership, the entire thing is fake. Well, there's a few exceptions, maybe some weather reports or the WNBA game score is accurate. It's almost all fake. And they have the gall to say democracy dies in the darkness when the whole paper is darkness. So these days, guys, I'm spending more time over at CNN.com because they really don't e-beg. They let you look at their fake articles and their fake news. There's some subscription services. Every once in a while, I click on articles and say, you need to be a subscriber, but it's not the main fake news. It's like an offshoot story about a fisherman or something like that. So I just want to mention this, guys. See the top front and center story. Top Trump officials will discuss unified response to Epstein-Steiner saga. First off, I don't even think I'm going to mention it. The amount of time they're recycling this is just ridiculous. There shouldn't be one man, woman, or child left in the United States that doesn't see through this, but whatever. We just can't keep mentioning that and our frustrations with that. I want to say the name Trump in the main story, front and center on CNN, will be like 320 days. Or up to 340 maybe of the 365 days in a news cycle. It's Trump this, Trump that, Trump that. I mentioned this a few weeks back. It's Trump everything. When they can't right now, they figure they can't cook up a war. They can't cook up a major catastrophe right now because their astrology is not in the right place and Jupiter's not in Virgo or whatever that may be. Maybe did I just get that right? I have no idea. I don't pay attention to that stuff. So it's Trump everything. It's Trump everything. That's what's getting them to the next phase where they can do their next big event or something's coming. You think they're just going to go away and say, "Oh, we're done"? No, it's not going to happen. Fortunately, for it seems like a 20-year cycle. People like Levitt would say Saturn return or something. Who knows what their dark Saturn return looks like? But it's Trump everything. Anyway, they recycle this guy endlessly. It is unbelievable. What's the top left say? Witkoff meets with Putin as Trump sanctions threat. He's threatening sanctions against. I thought Russia was already sanctioned up and down. Who knows? I don't follow this stuff. Who's Witkoff Jerkoff meets with? He's some sort of U.S. advisor. I looked into it, but there's not a whole lot here, guys. There's a few laughs. Endless top in the red says House Committee subpoenas DOJ. That's the Department of Justice to you and me for Epstein-Steiner files. Like, how could this still be going on? It doesn't even make any sense. Top right, the Walking Dead actress. Oh no. The Walking Dead actress Kelly Mack dies at 33. It had to work that in somehow. Did it really make Kelly Mack suffer because it needed that headline? Maybe. It's possible. It's also David Bowie Island is also very possible. Italy to give final go-ahead for landmark Sicily bridge project. Sorry. So who cares? They're finally going to connect those two land masses. What you can get over and get you a good restaurants over there in Sicily without having to take the ferry over. You could swim over it so close. That is a Mandela effect for a lot of people. You'd see these images from fake space in all these movies, and you see the boot as the fake shuttle goes over, whatever. And I remember this to me is a Mandela effect, but it's not an anchor. I can't be 100% sure. With an anchor, we're 100% sure. You see the boot. You don't see this gigantic half-inflated beach ball off the toe of the boot. Sicily is a Mandela effect for a lot of people, and it's so close you could take a rowboat over. So that is I guess they're addressing by building the bridge. They're addressing the Mandela effect crowd because they're saying, well, why wouldn't there be a bridge for the last 150 years? It just doesn't make any sense when they have these Key West bridges span, who knows, miles and miles and all this stuff. The bridge over the Chesapeake Bay, miles and miles, but they can't build a bridge. That it almost is, in a way, proof of Mandela effect. But those getting triggered, I'm going to stop. Let's continue. Just do a few more minutes. I'm just kind of tempting you with the big, even if it's real, it's fake story. This is too good, guys. Bottom right. Octopus latches onto child's arm at Texas aquarium. Family calls for change. I guess it's probably like I'm not going to click on the article. Maybe you can pet them. We could pet the bat rays at SeaWorld. I went to SeaWorld in San Diego in 1990 or 1991. I stayed with my uncle in San Diego for 3 months between, I think it was my sophomore and junior year at Penn State. And the bat rays, you put your hand in the water and could pet the slimy backs. I was like, ooh, you probably could pet them. If the child put his hand where it shouldn't be. What do you mean family calls for change? See, I actually noticed this like way back in college. It pissed me off that every time there's somebody injured or hurt or a tragedy, all the world has to change. This is a not milk tactic. Of course, I didn't realize when I was noticing and getting frustrated by this back in college or whatever as a young person in my 20s. The whole society has to change because of one incident. Now, the Not Milk is a master at this. It uses the incident to say, "Oh, we want what's best for you." So it could be something as simple as a stop sign or a stoplight. And I noticed this back in junior high, actually, to a degree. Let me tell you this story real quick. We'll get to even if it's real, it's fake as soon as possible. There was, or even earlier, Kingswood Apartments in King of Prussia is where I grew up. And somebody came around, we were at the bus stop, somebody comes around the corner, and it's like a blind corner, and boom, hit into another car. And of course, 4 weeks later, they're putting in a stop sign. And I remember thinking like, okay, I've lived here like my whole life. Nobody's ever had an accident there. There's one accident. Now they've put up a stop sign. So every time we're going to have to stop there thousands and thousands and thousands of times to get our cold pizza home or whatever. So one incident, then everybody's affected now forever. And the Not Milk is master at that. And I thought, well, why do I have to be affected? That person was probably reading the newspaper or whatever. They weren't paying attention. They do it with stop signs, stoplights, but they do it throughout all of society. That bogus event, the retarded man, Richard Reed, he was a T-ism carrier from the Middle East. He was a T-ism retard, but it was all bullcrap, of course. Richard Reed, they called the shoe bomb. There's a news story about Richard Reed was the shoe bomber. He had he tried to light reach down and light something it was all BS. But from then on, tens of millions of people a month had to take their shoes off because of one story and one incident. This is what the Not Milk is masterful at, and everybody accepts it. Well, they're just trying to be conservative and stay safe, and they want everybody healthy, and they want there was only one accident there in the last 100 years, but let's put a red light in there so it doesn't happen again. Don't you want people to stay safe, Matt? The Not Milk is masterful at warping society under this guise, these false pretenses. And it's always ratcheting down rights and freedoms, and its noose gets tighter incrementally, millimeter by millimeter over the years. and it's doing the same. The octopus isn't just maybe not the greatest example, but it was a funny headline that the kid was latching. They show little marks on his arms, a few cuts on his arms. And the whole octopus exhibit will need to be changed, and gigantic Foxconn jumper net fences will need to be put in to keep everybody away from the everything will need to change because of one incident. And I blame the people around us, your cousins and your uncles and your aunts and your neighbors and your friends, because everybody just goes along with it. Yeah, I could see why the whole octopus exhibit needs to go away because there's one incident. People never push back. It's truly disgusting. Let's get to the even if it's real, it's fake example. And people are like, oh, sports? Oh, I waited around for this. Give me a few minutes. This is a microcosm as to how the entire reality works and the frequency and the download. Now, many of you, of course, don't follow this stuff. I clicked on a few videos over the summer because Micah Parsons went to Penn State, and okay, fine, fine. Matt watches a movie now and then too. Oh, he's not really one of us. Okay. There's probably been a million videos and tens of millions of headlines over 3 or 4 months. And every day, they keep coming, video after video, the Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboy defensive end contract negotiations, Cowboy chaos. Now, the not nilk, it's a very quiet time for the not nilk, at least from a sports perspective. There's baseball being played, but there's the WNBA. It needed something for the football crowd. I'm telling you, there's a sports talk station in Philadelphia. There's two in Philadelphia. 2 sports talk stations. This is just dominating every sport. ESPN has roundtable discussions. Dallas Cowboys are treating the Micah Parsons wrong, and here's what happened with his agent, and endless talk and endless videos. Okay, trust me on this. How massive this story is. In terms of his contract negotiations. Now he's demanding a trade. This has been going on, not as much as it's blown up in the last week, but it's been going on for months. All right, here's the thing, guys. The not nilk needs this sort of, what you want to say, energy harvesting, loosh, something for the sports fans to be distracted with all summer so they stay in their little cocoon, believing the fake reality, whatever it may be. The not nilk needed this. It never goes completely quiet in the different segments, news or war or economics or politics or sports. It never goes completely quiet. It always needs something to grab the attention of those interested in the different topics, and that's what this is doing. Even if it's real, it's fake. Meaning it's real. If you go to Micah Parsons saying, "You're just putting on an act because you're now being inducted like Shaq into the secret societies," I would say, "What the hell are you talking about? I don't want to play out my rookie contract as one of the best defenders in the NFL. I want my $200 million or my $300 million or whatever they pay these people nowadays. It's like that. It's like $250 million for the top." NFL, and then $700 million for the top Major League Baseball. I think the guy for the Dodgers, doesn't he make $700 million? I was talking to somebody recently. What's next? $1.5 billion, $4 billion contracts? Why not just go $20 billion, $30 billion? The economics already don't make sense in terms of what the fans bring in terms of ticket sales. And everybody always has the same ready-made excuse. You can hear my friend Ken now, like, sneaker sales and TV contracts, that pays for everything. So when Micah Parsons someday gets $10 billion, it's just sneaker sales and ticket sales. No, TV contracts is how the public just explains it all away. How there's no possible way the economics support these salaries, and I'm not sure we'll get into why the not nilk is paying these salaries. It's part of a demoralization campaign against the proletariat, against the regular people. But if you go to Micah Parsons, you're trying to be initiated into a secret society, and this is all an act. No, he believes every bit of it. Jerry Jones, he's more connected to the highest levels of not nilk, but he believes in every bit of it. Almost everybody that acts out almost everything in this reality believe in what they're doing. We didn't understand this, so even if it's real, it's real. Everybody, put them on a lie detector test. They're just saying, "What are you talking about? It's fake." I'm not playing out my third year, my rookie contract as one of the best NFL players. I'm renegotiating for my $250 million. There's fake. What do you? It's fake because you could just see that the Not Milk needed this summer. It's dominated the sports talk. There's sports talk stations in every city. It's eaten up millions collectively, millions and millions of hours collectively in terms of. So have you ever heard sports radio talk? I should give you some sampling sometime. There's two stations in Philadelphia that people don't follow. You just wouldn't believe it. I mean, this is you. So many people that really aren't involved in this, or you threw your TV set out. And I appreciate maybe you only listen to me and a few people. You say, Matt, there's no way this could be as big as you're saying it is. It is, and you can see the Not Milk needed this. So it somehow created this when every single person involved is not faking it. They're not putting on. It's not an act, and they believe in every bit of it. And this is how reality works. Now, you might not like my example, and I'm not saying because of this, every single mall event and bang event and school event and mall event is everything's real. There are things put on. There would have to be catastrophe thespians that know that they were told what to say. It's not one or the other. People will again assign. Well, Matt thinks everything's real. I didn't say that, but most things, in terms of if you interview the people involved, it's not far more real. To them, it's completely real. Even though when we go back to 100,000 feet and observe from above, we can see it's all a fake coordinated event. This Not Milk is masterful at, even if it's real, it's fake. Most things are real if you interview the people involved, yet it's fake, and we can see it's fake. This is the way to explain it through the frequency, download, and radio station. Guys, before I mention this related to even if it's real, it's fake, I'm not sure how the last segment came out. If it wasn't clear, let me just try to summarize it as clear as I can. The Not Milk needed a major league distraction in a certain area of sports for this summer. Of course, it has a few other things. It's not just one thing, because it doesn't have the sport itself. It needed something. And again, one last time, I can't tell you how many. There may have been overall tens of millions of conversations across the United States related to this issue. That's just how big sport ESPN is and sports talk radio is, and endless headlines. The Not Milk needed something. And then, well, Matt, how does it create this? I can see it needed this, and this contract dispute with Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys filled a void for it. It came along at the right time. How does it go about that? It's supernatural. I mean, again, all I can say is here is radio station and download. I mean, it's supernatural, but it's not like, I guess I wanted to say, it's not like the reality is just completely benign, and the Not Milk hijacks and his pulls levers that are unholy, and it's how the reality was set up. In other words, it's not like it's unintended. This reality, even at the base level, the game board, it's a trick, and it's a game that's meant to be overcome and seen through, and which some of us are doing. It's not like this Not Milk is completely going against what's natural. This whole reality is, in my opinion, designed to be a trick. The Not Milk doesn't have to work very hard. Well, it is supernatural in its means, but it's not going against the grain and getting people on its ship of fools. That is the natural way that people generally want, the way that people generally choose to go. So it's not a hijack at all. It's how this whole game was set up. The Not Milk has so many elements that fit into its narrative and its script. I don't know any other word to use but supernatural, but it's beyond that. It's almost like it's part of a false constructed reality. There's a movie called Love Field, and the whole thing about Kennedy and Jackie flying into Love Field, which was a Dallas airport that was initially established around or right during World War I to train Air Force pilots, very close to Dallas. It was the Dallas airport before Dallas-Fort Worth. Even the name is somehow part of the Not Milk script, Love Field, and it's part of this story, this JFK story. So, well, Matt, if it was named back in World War I, How did the not know couldn't have intended it to somehow go along with the JFK story? Yes, it did somehow. I'm not, I don't sit in at its creepy table. I don't know how it works, but yes, it did. It's part of this story, even though it couldn't, it's impossible, right? Because it was named during World War One. How could it be named as part of the JFK story? I don't know how it pulls this shit off. But remember, basically the main premise of this entire channel is fake world. Look around, fake world, becoming faker by the day, by the week, and you seeing yourself for who you truly are. Real, completely real, beyond this place, timeless. That's the whole channel is one sentence. It's fake world makes fake world, and noticing fake world tells you about yourself and how real you are. It's that simple. It's one sentence. So Matt, how are you going to keep these videos going? I don't know. We'll get a few laughs. Maybe another star of Lost or something will go kaput at age 33 or something. Get a few laughs. I don't know. That person could be at David Bowie Island. I don't mean to be callous in any way, but anyway. There's a movie called Love Field. Really? I mean, okay. Getting back to, even if it's real, it's cake in a lake. I'm not saying everything is. Of course, the Kennedy, what happened in Dealey Plaza, that couldn't possibly be what we're talking about now. Even if it's real, it's cake in a lake. What happened? That has to be just cake in a lake. It can't be real. And no, it just, to me, that is when it's people of this high level. They pull off, well, could you imagine what this sounds like to anybody stumbling upon it? They pull off the cake in a lake events, and then they go off to get Mirage Aron at David Bowie Island. And some people tuned in and said, this person sounded somewhat normal when this started. And now it's a shame I wasted all this time, because now they've been determined to be definitively crazy. Well, okay, you got to be here a few years or so to really understand a lot of this stuff. And it's not, you'll see, everybody, if you're new here, you'll see it. It's not just me talking. You will see, it will all just make sense one day. You'll see it as you watch the news or as you look out the window or whatever it may be. Reality gives itself away. And you just have to reset yourself to a certain frequency to see it. And that's what I think this channel helps people do. Just diving off the ship of fools is really a metaphor for resetting your frequency. So then all of it doesn't make any sense. All of it seems completely contrived and fake. And then as you continue to move your frequency away or move down the radio station dial, it becomes ridiculous. It becomes, at its final stage is where we are now, it becomes truly ridiculous, where we can't comprehend how anybody around us can't also see it. But if you were on that frequency and you didn't move down the radio station dial, it wouldn't be ridiculous. It's just the way the world is. And we're the ones, and they would be right. We're the ones that are strange. We're the ones that are crazy. Because they're right. They are right about us. We're not in line with this reality. The metrics of whether one is sane, crazy, or something's wrong with them, or whatever the tag may be, it's in line with what are the metrics of normalcy and sanity, and what is the mean average baseline for the regular person in this reality. And we're so far off of it. If they call us names or say we're this or that, they'd be right, because they're representative of this reality and we're not. So, if they call you crazy, say thank you. Oh, wow, you've never said anything nice to me like that before. You're nuts, you conspiracy Jew. Oh, wow, keep it coming. I love, the more they're just validating that you're off the ship of fools. The more names we get called, the better, because it proves we're farther and farther away from their baseline reality. I will leave you with this, guys. Their baseline matter. Maybe we're the ones that are off. No. Their baseline reality couldn't possibly be the winning showdown. It couldn't possibly be. I mean, if anybody ever doubts that maybe we're the ones seeing things incorrectly, no. Okay. There's no reason to go into all this. And the old guard's like, Matt, this is obviously. These are the people that believe after the big two explosions when the 7-Eleven job application was submitted, they believe there was an inflated tire on the ground and passports floating around. Right, their baseline reality couldn't possibly be the real metric for normal. Ours really is, but only when compared to the reality that we came from. And there's no doubt, as I think it through, and I notice this all the time, that there is when the century changed, or I don't know if it's a century change, it's both actually. The century change and the millennium changed, sorry. The century change, it's not just a calendar date, not just any other date. Something, the way this reality works, there's something that changes with reality itself when the century mark switches over or the millennium switches over. To me, it's not just any other day, and it was magnified because of what they pulled on potentially the first day of the new millennium, on potentially the first day of the new century. September of the big day, 2001. Many people have talked about it being the first day of the new millennium and of the century. Again, you have to be in the '01. You have to be '01 to officially start. You can't start it at 0. Some people have argued. We've all heard those arguments. And who's to believe the calendar that they give us? Just because they tell us January 1 and a ball drops and that's real? No, they have the real calendar. They have the real astrology. I know Levette has tried to determine what the real astrology is, but you think they would just get those that are interested in astrology here? You think they would just give you the real astrology, just give you keys to how the reality works? I mean, I appreciate what Levette does. She says, well, she built a knowledge base, but then this is how they're skewing it. She looks for ways they're taking it off axis or whatever it may be. I'm not qualified to talk about it, but you don't think the astrology in the back of your newspaper is the real astrology. I mean, you think they just give that away? They wouldn't withhold secrets for themselves? I mean, unless you're thinking like that, I mean, I think you're off. And in terms of anything, would you take anything of importance of what they tell us at face value? Of course not. If Neil of the Grass-Fed comes forth and remember he dropped the mic, that buffoon put a big Subway sandwich in his mouth and then dropped the mic. Remember that stupid event? Then he went off to giggle and watch a movie with Mitch Pikachu. If he says that a pulsar is this or a quasar is this, then I'll tell you what it's not. I'll tell you it's not going to be what he says it is. Of course, it's the rule of opposites. What did that? It's in Seabiscuit. Was it Jeff Bridges says, "You show me something perfect, and I'll show you something that's not." About the war admiral with perfect form, with perfect pace, the war admiral. You show me something perfect and I'll show you something that's not. Jeff Bridges in Seabiscuit was putting forth the rule of opposites. Exactly. So, anyway, what the hell was I talking about? I do believe that there could, Matt, you saying somebody going from 1799 into 1800 noticed a difference? No, I mean, were there differences in reality? I think the calendar date is significant in terms of what their real calendar is, not January 1. I think that means something. Now, with what we went through, those quote in general, the people here our age, the century changed, the millennium changed. And then whatever they were going to do, whatever catalyst they put on it, like throwing gasoline on a fire, they magnified it with their gigantic, weird-ass ritual, which was the submission of the job application. And they magnified it, put it on steroids times 1,000,000. And then there's somebody right now on their couch in Skokie that's listening going, this is highly strange. Does that mean this person doesn't believe about the 8 or 9 foot Arab in the cave? No, it was a gigantic. Well, there's no reason to go into what it was, guys. It was a massive, occulted event to the highest degree, and those that somehow saw to it. I mean, of course, they're just supernatural means we can't even comprehend. I mean, what kind of sick individual? We just close with this. Let me speak to those. What kind of sick individuals would? What did you need to do that for? I mean, what kind of sick individuals would put those pieces in place for what? I said before, if you need something from real spiritual beings, why don't you stop pulling your schemes? Just ask. Just ask. if I'm craving an apple and I can't afford a bushel of apples, and next door is an apple field, I just go over to the farmer and say, I'm down on my luck right now. Could you give me a sack of apples? Well, of course I can. You're Matt. You live across the way, right? I don't really live next to an apple field. Just an example. Here's some apples. So just if you need something, not milk, why don't you just ask? What's all these tricks for? Just ask us next time. Maybe we'll give it to you. You son of a beach. Thanks for listening.